Good afternoon. Thank you all very much for being here. I think this is an important story, and we appreciate y'all helping us to tell it. My name is David Snively. I'm the Public Information Officer for the Brookhaven Police Department. My last name is spelled S-N-I-V as in Victor, E-L-Y. I'll take just a second to introduce the people that are here with me. Behind me is Brookhaven Police Chief Gary Yandura, Y-A-N-D-U-R-A. Deputy Police Chief Brandon Gurley, G-U-R-L-E-Y. Chambly's Assistant Chief of Police, Mike Beller, that's B-E-L-L-E-R. The MARTA Police Department's Major Willie Davenport, D-A-V-E-N-P-O-R-T. Atlanta Police Captain Antonio Clay. And DeKalb County Sheriff's Office Chief Deputy Akes, A-K-I-E-S. The purpose of this press conference is to provide an update regarding an arrest in the case of a woman stabbed last Saturday while walking on the Peachtree Creek Greenway. Chief Yandura will begin by providing some opening remarks about the collaboration with our area law enforcement partners. I will continue by reading the original press release. Deputy Chief Gurley will then share additional information regarding the identification and arrest of the suspect. I'll then return to take any questions that you have about the case, and a press packet will be available at the conclusion of this conference. At this time, I'll turn it over to Chief Yandura.
Thank you, Lieutenant. My main purpose here is just to show the cooperation of all the police agencies that were involved here, and we couldn't do it by ourselves. I'd like to mainly thank Chief Rodney Bryant from Atlanta Police Department, Chief Scott Crayer from MARTA Police Department, and Sheriff Melody Maddox from the DeKalb Sheriff's Office. It was a joint effort. We located a suspect this morning, and through everyone's effort and cooperation, collaboration, we were able to find him and place him under arrest, which was with great teamwork by everybody. We couldn't do it ourselves because criminals have no boundaries. We don't need the boundaries either. And with that, I'll turn it back over to our Public Information Officer.
For any who may not be familiar, I'm going to provide you with the background information regarding the original incident. On Saturday, June 5th, 2021, at about 5:30 in the afternoon, the victim in this incident was walking along the Peachtree Creek Greenway. The victim, who was pregnant, was walking with her 3-year-old son. The suspect approached the victim and attempted to engage her in conversation. She continued walking. At that time, the suspect ran up behind the victim and stabbed her several times in the back. He fled the area. The victim was assisted on the trail by several other persons and transported to an area hospital. The family has given us permission to share that the victim gave birth via emergency C-section. The newborn is in critical condition in the neonatal intensive care unit and is expected to remain hospitalized for several months. The victim herself is recovering from her injuries from both the C-section and the stabbing and is expected to remain in the hospital for several days. Brookhaven police investigators were able to locate images of the suspect from city-owned security cameras along the Greenway. After those photos were released to the public, investigators began receiving several tips and leads. At this time, I'll invite Deputy Chief Gurley to discuss the progression of leads and the information that led to the arrest of this suspect.
I'm going to ask Lieutenant Ayana, our supervisor detective, and our lead detective in the case, Detective Maldonado, to join me to my left and right up here. It was on Tuesday of this week where their efforts in this case and the leads that they were following led to a identification, a partial name from a tipster of our suspect. They began digging into that person and their past in an effort to identify him. The information was shared with the DeKalb Chiefs Association the following day, which led to information from the Chambly Police Department that positively identified our suspect and led to evidence linking them to the crime. On Wednesday, yesterday, June the 9th, detectives secured arrest warrants for 30-year-old Christopher Jones, charging Mr. Jones with aggravated assault, aggravated battery, and cruelty to children. This investigation is ongoing and additional charges could be filed. Their efforts in locating him once the arrest warrants were signed took them to areas of unincorporated DeKalb and the city of Atlanta. We began cooperating with those agencies in an effort to locate our suspect. Early this morning, the investigators received information that Jones could be in the area of the MARTA Arts Center station, located on West Peachtree Street in the city of Atlanta. An incident command post was established in front of the MARTA station. Resources were called in to that immediate area, and a coordinated effort to search and locate the suspect began. Within a few minutes, officers involved in the search located and apprehended Mr. Jones in the vicinity of the MARTA station and placed him under arrest. This arrest is undoubtedly the result of collaboration with members of our public who provided tips, members of the media who assisted with the timely release of the information, and area law enforcement partners who helped to both positively identify and to apprehend the offender. And we thank everyone involved in this for their help in bringing this to a close. This time I'm going to turn the conference back over to our public information officer.
Thank you. At this time, I'm prepared to answer any questions you may have about the case.
Did the man who was arrested, did he put up any resistance at the time of
No,
his
sir.
arrest?
He was taken into custody without incident.
Did he have a weapon on him?
No, sir, not that I'm aware of. Yes, ma'am.
What have you learned more about this interaction with the woman and the victim?
Certainly one of the principal pieces of the investigation will be to understand exactly what sequence of events led up to the stabbing. One of the things our investigators have determined is that Mr. Jones is a mental health consumer. We believe that mental illness did play a role in this case.
Have you had any history with him in Brookhaven or any of the other agencies?
There is a documented history in Brookhaven. He's known to the Brookhaven Police Department. Yes, ma'am.
Is the nature of those violent crimes, or can you sort of characterize the crimes?
Yes, so as a general rule, we don't discuss the criminal history of accused persons. What I can say is that he was familiar to the police department.
And at the MARTA station, do we know sort of why was it believed that he was there? I know that there's a small homeless community that lives outside that station. Is he homeless, or is there another reason he was there?
The investigators so far have determined that he is homeless. Whether he resides there on any type of a permanent basis, I'm not sure. In this case, we know that he has been frequenting both the Brookhaven and Atlanta areas, as well as some places in unincorporated DeKalb. So ultimately, it just comes down to sort of where he was located this morning.
It was mentioned that evidence linked him to this crime. Can you discuss the nature of that evidence, DNA evidence, something else?
We've got some of the video evidence. Many of those images were shared with you all. As far as the other specific evidence, that would be for the investigators to pass on to the district attorney.
Did he admit to the stabbing?
He did.
He did. Did he say why he stabbed him?
I think that's part of what the investigators were trying to get at with their question. And so what we can share now is that we feel confident we've arrested the correct person.
There's a lot of people that are on the trail that expressed concern to us when we did the story yesterday about a strengthened police presence. And I understand that is in the works. Could you explain that to us, please?
Sure, and one of the things that we'd like to share is that the stretch of the Peachtree Creek Greenway that is currently open has nearly 20 city-owned surveillance cameras. Those have been in place since the trail opened in December of 2019. The circumstances surrounding this incident are horrific, but we are also encouraged that this is the first incident that has ever taken place on the Peachtree Creek Greenway. In terms of how the area is patrolled, in addition to the real-time ability to monitor those cameras, our police officers patrol on foot, on bicycles, and via an electric ATV.
Are you going to be beefing up patrols?
I think that the patrols will certainly continue so that we're able to maintain that level of safety. What other questions do you all have?
Someone close with the victim had shared, understandably she was in fear until an arrest was made. Can you give us any details? I'm assuming this arrest has been shared with her and her family. Any reaction from them to an arrest being made that she can share?
Yeah, so I had the opportunity to speak, as did our investigators. They were very relieved that an arrest has been made. Certainly all of us are. One of the important takeaways from this, and I want to be clear, the victim in this case did everything right. But we encourage people, as they sort of ask sometimes, for what tips they can follow to be safe. And we want them to do things like being aware of their surroundings, running if they're using headphones, keeping one out so that they can hear what's going on around them. We want people certainly to travel in groups. Those are all of the things that they can do to sort of help increase their safety on the trail. And again, the victim in this case did all of those things, but certainly that's a tip you all could share with your followers.
And as far as that now newborn, it was mentioned that child is in critical condition. Is that just simply, do we know, because of the very premature birth, or was the newborn injured somehow during the stabbing?
As far as we know, he was not injured as part of the stabbing, and I should be clear, I'm not sure whether it's a male or a female. The child was not injured as a result of the stabbing. However, they were born at just 5 months old, which is why they're expected to remain in the NICU.
Just have our facts correct, that 3-year-old not injured at all?
Correct, no physical injury to the 3-year-old.
Are you going to release the name of the victim?
We are not going to release that, no sir. And that's at the request of the family.
Gotcha.
Is the victim still in stable condition?
She is in serious but stable condition. She's expected to remain in the hospital for several more days. Folks, again, genuinely, on a very personal note, the department appreciates you all sharing this information. One of the really important parts of this case was collaboration with our community. We had tipsters in the community who recognized pictures. So the city took that first step by having the security cameras in place. You all helped us by sharing that photo, and the community stepped up by telling us who the person in the photo was. So truly a team effort there, and then, of course, by the law enforcement partners to actually apprehend them. So we thank you for that.
I'm sorry, are you going to provide us with a mugshot?
Yeah, so the mugshots will be available from the DeKalb County Sheriff's Office. Our press packet does contain a driver's license photo.
Okay.
So if there aren't any other questions, our investigative assistant, Ms. Miller, will step back in the room in just a moment and provide you all with a copy of that press packet.
Thank you very much.
You leave back to the conference room.
Thank you all very much. You can go ahead and thank you, Daniel.
What is the first day of the chief? I'm sorry. Brandon, thank you.
Yes, sir.
As far as that mugshot, has he formally been booked into the jail, sir? What's his status right now? Do we know?
Enough time has passed that he should have been.
He should have been booked. You guys obviously can get it from the jail as well, but any details on the first?